Joseph is coming back on saying, looking to change the way I do my workout, the same exercise, but using a different way and variation I use for muscle growth. Okay, very good. Now we've got a little bit more of something that we're looking at. We're changing how we use our muscle. And I think you're smart for doing it that way, because one of the big mistakes a lot of people use with exercise variety is they will change kind of the superficial level of what they're doing. They'll use different tools. They'll use different exercises. I did this a lot when I first started working out in gyms, because I was working out at home gyms. And I was like, oh my gosh, now at this gym, I've got machines and bands and free weights and all these other toys. And so I would do machine chest press and cable chest press and band chest press and bench press and dumbbell bench press and push-ups and all of these, horizontal pressing movements. But fundamentally, I was still doing the same thing, which was back then typically 3 sets of 10. So even though it looked like I was doing something different, as far as my muscles were concerned, it was pretty much all the same thing. But if you use the same basic technique, but you change the programming where you're like, okay, I was doing 5x5 and now I'm going to do sets of 20. And I used to go really slow and now I'm going with faster, explosive movement. If you change what the muscle itself is doing on the fundamental level, you're going to create a much more significant stimulus, even if you're seemingly doing the same thing, the same type of exercise. So when the grind style calisthenics program, we do this to a substantial degree. In the strength phase, what you're doing is you're using relatively heavy loads, because we're assuming it's going for strength. So using resistance where it's like 3 to 5 repetitions typically. So you're going heavy and you're staying fairly far away from fatigue most of the time. So not failure, saving a rep or two in the tank. So then once you get some fatigue starting to build up, okay, shift from the strength phase. Now we're into the quote finisher or the hypertrophy phase, and we flip it. We're going moderate loads, higher volumes, so 10, 15, 20 repetitions, and you're burning out the muscle like crazy. So fundamentally, you're taking the muscle and subjecting it to a much more diverse stimulus. And that not only makes your workouts a lot more effective as far as like variety goes, but it's also giving your muscles a lot more kind of to think about. It's kind of like, oh, I'm eating nothing but, broccoli for vegetables versus I'm eating a whole salad with a whole bunch of different things. The variety gives you a lot more value for what you're impacting yourself with. So back to your question, once again, excuse me. So you're changing the way you do your muscles. And generally for muscle growth, that does play out. A lot of the research does suggest that if we subject our muscles to a variety of stimulus, as long as you're still working it progressively, you're working it hard and you're burning it out to some degree at some point in your workouts, it's probably going to result in more growth than if you have one particular way of using your muscle, like what I foolishly did back in the day, where it was 3 sets of 10 and I just stayed there forever. I wish I had more variety and kind of explored and colored outside the lines.